Namaskar, Didi.
Namaskar.
So tell me, what year and where did you get initiated?
I was initiated in 1988 in Copenhagen, Denmark.
And the reason why you got initiated, was it because of some long search for God, or it just seemed like a good idea at the time?
It seemed like a very good idea at the time. I was doing the diploma course at the International School of Comedy, which is founded and run by this brother Vishwasanti.
Right.
And we had very intense modules of study, and we performed in the end. So there's an adrenaline spike, and then after that it would be like the first premiere is over. So what's next? So I understood that I have to find some kind of balance, and then we were a bunch of friends. We learned meditation same time. We started doing yoga. So I immediately felt this more mental balance and connection to something greater, the internal peace. I didn't know anything or much, almost nothing about the philosophy. Just that personal experience of internal peace and mental balance. So that was nice. Yeah.
What was the experience of initiation like? Did you get a nice spiritual experience, or did that come gradually later?
There was actually a huge experience, but if I may tell it quickly, so Didi, we sat down, and Didi explained me, and it was just a Nama mantra actually.
What was the Didi's name?
Didi, she was Didi Kalyani, and now she is Didi Ananda Krishna Priya.
Mm-hmm.
She's in North America at the moment, I think. So she explained the process, and she gave me the mantra, and so I closed my eyes, and then I repeated the mantra maybe 2-3 times, and every time mentally, and every time I remembered it mentally, I felt this huge energy. I don't know how to call, but it was like touching something much greater, just like touching it. And then I thought, better not to do it more because it's so big. So then Didi asked me to open my eyes, and then she asked, so how was it, and how many times did you repeat the mantra? And I said 3 times, and she was like, oh God, she was like, oh, these people, these artists or whatever. She was thinking, but I couldn't explain. And I think it's all these processes of meditation that you can experience. There are no words to describe it very often, but it gives you an indication that it's a science of something much, much greater.
Yes. And your decision to become a Didi, did that come before you met Baba or after you met Baba?
I had the feeling of it. I was really interested. At that time in Berlin sector in Europe, there were many American Didis, quite a few of them, English, who spoke English as their native language, and they were very confident. They would give this, talks to hundreds of people, etc. And I felt very insecure and introvert. So I was like hesitating that. So it means to become a Didi means that you can really address crowds and be confident and so on. But then when I went to India and I saw Baba, then I understood that everybody has something to contribute. We don't have to be all made out of same mold. Like everybody has unique qualities to contribute to the service of the world. So yeah, so that gave me more encouragement.
And so tell me the experience when you met Baba for the first time.
Well, I arrived to Anandanagar just like a Christmas Eve, 1988 in December, and the other LFTs from Europe, they had arrived already. So me and another sister, we had traveled together, and they told us like, Baba is going to do a garden walk, so quickly go get ready. And so you can see Baba first thing in the morning around 10 a.m. And so 10, 11-ish or something. And so we did that. We got ready, and then we walked to Baba's house in Anandanagar. And that time, the wall that's along the road, if you know the rose garden, the wall was very low, and nowadays it's much higher. But anyway, so and then we stood there at the gate, and then we saw Baba entering the rose garden and just walking along the lines of roses, and he didn't look at us. And then I understood that, of course, afterwards I understood that that was Baba's private walk in his private garden. But in the same way, in the same time, he as a guru was giving us a glimpse of his physical body and his physical presence. And that's one way that gurus teach, is they teach with their physical presence. So when I saw him then walking there very gently along the roses, I felt some strange, my mind shifted, and I felt that I was maybe like a 6 or 7-year-old, and that that I had come there. Oh yeah, now I get emotional. It's hard to talk about Baba without getting emotional. So I felt like I had traveled through time. I had traveled 2 centuries, and now I'm finally there. It's a very. And then I came back to a normal awareness, and I was thinking, where did that thought come from? I had never seen him, before in this lifetime. So, and then I observed how very gently he moved, very gracefully moved in his garden. So that's what I saw first time.
And it sounds like it had a lasting effect on you. And were there any other moments you want to share with us when you were with Baba?
I had a PC, the private, the personal contact. Yeah. Would you like to hear that one?
I would.
Okay. So we were 9 sisters, and we all had gone through the preparation phase, which is classes and of the philosophy and the conduct rules, etc. And the role about LFT. And we were told that if Baba asks you a question, how many languages do you speak? You have to always add Bengali and Sanskrit. And we were like, what? But we don't speak these languages. We just had a very quick crash course on each. And we were told that no, Bengali is because we are in Calcutta, and that is the native language, the local language here. So LFTs, wherever they are in the world, they should learn the local language. And Sanskrit, we have to learn that because it is the spiritual language of Anandamarga. So, okay, so I tried to digest these directives, because it was against my feeling of what is right. I was going to lie. I was going to tell a lie to Baba. So that was one clash. The other clash we had prior to the PC was that there were brothers, and they were also in the process, LFT brothers, and they were also in the process of having PC with Baba. And they told us that they have PC with Baba alone. There are no other brothers, and so they have all the attention of Baba. And then Baba even touches them and blesses them and hugs them. And so, whereas sisters, he would not touch sisters. And then that we would be in a group. We won't have individual attention. So that was also, and the brothers were saying, isn't that injustice? And some sisters agreed. But I had this feeling that, of course, it doesn't sound nice. I mean, it's like we are left out of so much things. But then I thought, okay, there must be a reason. And of course, later I understood that Baba was, number one, he would talk about it, and in his behavior, he showed that there's a dignity of women, and we are to maintain the dignity of women. And then that physical touch it might be necessary for brothers because the nervous systems, usually in female and male bodies, are different. So, and for sisters, something else is enough. So anyway, so that what I experienced at the end of the PC. So fast forward, we are entering Baba's room, and Didi somehow she put me first. So I was the first one of this line of queue of 9 sisters. And when we were in front of Baba's door, I thought we're going to enter like a throne room, you know, marble and everything, and there would be this beautiful, beautiful guru. But when the door opened, it was a very normal room, and Baba was sitting on in India you call it a cot, which means like a structure, a hard surface bed, and very simple setting. Hardly any other furniture was there. And then there's a carpet. So we all sat down. We filed down and we sat down on this carpet in a couple rows. Then Didi was there with us. And next to Baba was Baba's personal assistant, Keshavananda. And he had a paper. He had a piece of paper in his hand. And so he said, Baba, these 9 sisters have come today for LFT PC. And the first one is, and then Dada mentioned my name, my LFT name was Tapashi that time. So he said, and the first one is Tapashi. And what Baba did, he leaned forward and he looked around and said, Tapashi, like he was really excited and happy and like he had been waiting for me to be there. And I'm looking at him thinking, but how come he's so happy and like he's waiting for me to be here? How come that's not possible? All these, questions in my mind. So I stood up and I didn't even do namaskar because I was just thinking, how come he was so happy and etc. So I stood up there in front of Baba. At that time, I only had 2 lessons of Ananda Marga Sadhana. So I was really a country pumpkin in a spiritual sense. And then, so then Baba smiled, really beautiful smile, and he said, how old are you? And I had this huge thought in my mind that I'm so old. I was 26, 27 years old that time. And in the group of 9 sisters, there were some 19, 18-year-olds. And then there were a couple sisters that were like, one sister that was like more than 40 years old. So I wasn't actually oldest in the group, but when I interacted with the younger sisters, I thought, wow, it would be so nice if I was here when I was 18, would have been nice. So when Baba asked this question, I really felt old. I really felt old. And so I told Baba, I'm 27. And he smiled a huge smile and said, you are such a little girl. And when he said that, I felt that as if he removed that idea, that thought that I had that I was so old. I really felt like, okay, like a fresh start or something moved there. So then he asked, and how many languages do you know? So, then I thought, here it is. I'm going to lie. I'm going to tell this huge lie to Baba. All these languages I know, and then I have to add this Bengali and Sanskrit, and it's going to be a lie. So actually, I don't know anything. I don't even know this, English and Swedish. I don't know them. But anyway, so I told him 4 languages, and he smiled again, huge smile, and he said, "Oh, you are such a little girl, and you know so much." And again, I felt that he removed this confusion I had in my mind, and then I realized that, oh boy, now I can talk to Baba in my mind, and whatever I have a thought, whatever I think, he knows it. And so we can have this dialogue in my mind. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. So then he became a little bit serious, but still, cordial. And he asked, are you ready to render maximum service for suffering humanity and work as an LFT? So I was so happy that I can talk to Baba in my mind. So I started chattering, and I told to Baba in my mind that, you know what, I don't want to be LFT, because LFTs, they just wash floors and they do all this, not so important tasks. I want to be a Didi. I want to be a big Didi, and I want to do something important. So I was not answering him. There was a silence in the room. And so Baba repeated the same question, and his voice was much more serious. And I really felt like it was like a mountain talking. It was really, really deep. Not a deep voice, but there was this resonance, this seriousness. And I was still kind of saying no, but you know what? I don't want to be a lefty, And so then I realized that there was a silence in the room. And I saw that Ananda's hands were shaking. He was holding the paper in his hands. And there was a pin drop silence in the room. Then I realized that I was expected to say something verbally, not just talk in my mind. And then I realized that if I don't say something, then Baba would be so displeased that he would ask everybody to leave. And that would be a catastrophe, because then all the 8 sisters would lose their chance and they would have to wait another 4 weeks or whatever. So I realized that there is an urgency. I have to say something. I have to do something. I have to say something. My mind went completely blank. And then somewhere back of my mind, I understood that I have to just say yes. The Guru is asking you. And so you just have to say yes. So I said, with a small voice, I said, yes. And then Dada Keshavananda, he said, Baba, she said yes. And then Baba he kind of melted a little bit. And then he kind of indicated that I could sit down. So I sat down. And then all the other sisters then continued their dialogue with Baba. And so afterwards, many years afterwards, slowly, every year every time when I would think about it on the following years, I would understand more and more about it. And so one way to understand could be that that Baba was kind of asking Guru Dakina. So like, whatever I ask you to do, would you do that? And of course, it was a LFTPC, so he had to follow the protocol or the system. Baba would always follow the system and procedures in that way. Internally, it was something much else, something much greater, and externally it was this, that we were there for LFTPC. And then I went on and I traveled back to Europe, and I was a lefty, and I hardly ever washed floors. I did, many other things.
When you're having PC and watching Baba interacting with the other sisters, what was that like? What was it like watching him?
It was really nice. There were moments when my mind would, kind of come back to a normal dimension, and I was wondering. I traveled half across the world to come here in this tiny room with all these people and with him, and he looks so ordinary. He looked so ordinary, so like a gentleman there having a cordial, polite conversation. And the next moment, my mind would, I don't know what, my mind would surge, and I would understand that this is the heart of the universe.
Mm.
So then there were moments when he was talking with the other sisters, and his profile was like this, and for a fraction of a second, I thought, I'm just seeing Baba's profile. I would like to see his eyes again, because they're beautiful eyes, no? And so in fraction of a second, he turned and he looked at me, both his eyes, and like, so you wanted to see me. So that was wonderful.
And what was it when you got Avtk Diksha? Was that with Baba or after?
That was after. That was 1995, 1994, yeah.
So what are you doing now, Didi?
What am I doing now?
Yeah.
I am posted at the moment to Lebanon, and I just finished 6 weeks there, and I came back to Athens, and I'm doing some work here as well. So it's very interesting to be back in the Cairo sector, and Middle East is a beautiful place. The culture is typical Mediterranean culture in a way that is very hospitable. People are easygoing, ready to share and welcome, and ready to learn new ideas. So yeah.
And what about
You,
Lebanon?
Lebanon. What about Lebanon?
What was
At
that
the
like?
moment, oh yeah, at the moment it's a country that is going through a huge economical crisis. Actually, the local currency. When I arrived there 6 weeks ago, it was like 76,000 local lira against $1. And when I left the country after just last week, it was 123,000 local currency against $1. So there's this huge inflation happening, and then the government is kind of stagnated or frozen in a political battle. And so at the same time, what people tell me that politicians are just funneling all the money into their own private into their pockets, into their private projects and private lives, and so there's this huge worry. People have lots of worry about what will happen in the future. So yeah, when you are at home and when it's dark, nighttime comes and you just use the switch, you have electricity, and I there for 6 weeks. When you press the button, there's no electricity, and so it was really poor supply, like 3 hours maximum every day from the government. So people were resorting to, of course, generators, which is not environmentally friendly at all, or solar panels if you're lucky you had them before, because now they're expensive. Anyway, so it was good to be in an environment where really makes us think that if you have a good living standard, it's you won a lottery, really. Yeah. Like, these spiritual experiences are something, they are rare. You don't, when you open the TV, you don't hear these stories. So they're very rare, but they are real and they are present. And so, like Baba said, that we have our existence is physical, mental, emotional, social, etc., and spiritual. So we need a balance with all these our aspects of lives. So go ahead and explore your spiritual dimension. The good guide. Look for a good guide. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.